Hey everybody, it's Cameron with Prep for Life, and today I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about our Harvest Right freeze dryer. As we started into this journey, we really wanted to expand our food storage. The decision came down to really whether or not we were going to go with our own freeze dryer machine versus buying a prepackaged year supply from one of the companies out there. So you've got a few of them, right? Emergency Essentials carries their own brand. You've got Mountain House, My Patriot Supply, Wise Food. There's some really good companies out there, and compared to years past, like when I was growing up, it's really good and amazing food. In terms of cost, it was about sixes between going for probably one person year supply versus going with the Harvest Right freeze dryer. Let me first start with my thought process around pre-packaged, pre-bundled year supply. So again, really cool options out there. They taste amazing, and we use them a lot when we go camping, when we go hiking. They really come in handy. Obviously, freeze-dried food in general is where we wanted to go. The problem that I ran into mentally was, for one, there's not a lot of control. I know that there are some, I've seen one or two companies that let you really kind of pick and choose what goes in. Usually those are going to be more of like a monthly, I make a payment, I get to kind of choose what gets delivered to me on an ongoing basis. But when you're talking about a prepackaged, this is my year's supply, your options are a little bit limited, right? So essentially what it came down to is I would be living on 4, maybe 5, this obviously may be an exaggeration, depends on the company you look at, but I'd be living on about 4 to 5 set meals that they're choosing for me. If it so happens that I don't necessarily like one of those meals, it just doesn't fit something I eat on a daily basis, I'm kind of out of luck, okay? So that's the one issue. The pro there is that it's definitely quicker, meaning that I spend the money and I have the year supply right now. If you're concerned about impending natural disasters or economic downturn or things like that, obviously we know the reasons that we all got into prepping, that's the big benefit to prepackaged, meaning that I get it now, it's ready to go. Again, my big drawback was that basically for the money I was getting one person year supply, and I was kind of stuck with what they offered me in that solution, okay? Moving to the freeze dryer, the reason that we ultimately went with the freeze dryer was, for one, Harvest Right had a really good deal. As you can see, I'm actually going to link below. Feel free to check it out. I've actually put my affiliate link down below. It doesn't change the pricing for you, so even with their sales, you're going to get the exact same pricing, but it does indicate that we were the ones that sent you over. It helps us to continue to provide quality content for you guys here on the channel. So click the link below and check it out. But essentially, we got a great deal. And the big thing for us was that we knew what we were going to be putting in. Again, it's the long-term play versus getting everything all at once. So we knew it would take longer, but we would have full control over what goes into that year's supply. We would know that there are things that we like to eat. We would be able to take care of leftovers on an ongoing basis. One great example of that is the Costco mashed potatoes. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, some of you out there, where you can only get those mashed potatoes for like a couple of days every single year in that big tray. And whatever we weren't able to eat this year, I went ahead and freeze dried them, and I've got them saved up in one of my containers. The other pro was that I can keep going. So again, where I'm set with maybe one person year supply for the money, when it came to the prepackaged, I can generate that same one person year supply, but then I can keep going. There's no limit to how much freeze-dried food that I can produce from my year supply using this machine. So that's a huge plus there as well. Beyond that, it means that I can actually start making snacks and meals the way that I want them for our ongoing camping and hiking trips. It means that I can cycle through that food a lot easier because I know I can always make some more. I know that I can make little snacks as we go, right? We love hiking through, especially through the summertime, and just grabbing like a bag full of freeze-dried apples or pineapples, it works incredibly well. Okay, so for us, it just gave us more options. So looking at the downside to the Harvest Right, really when it comes down to it, it's just the time and the process that you have to put into it, which frankly, I mean, you can watch a lot of videos. We're gonna start putting out a lot more content on what it's like to own one of these and what it's like to run the cycle. But once you get the process down, it's really not that bad. However, I am going to put that in the con category just because that can be a hassle for some people, especially just getting into it. Secondly is the material costs. So either whether I'm using canning jars or if I'm using Mylar bags. With Mylar bags, you need a sealer, you need to buy oxygen absorbers for either of those methods. And lastly, you want a good way to store those. So in our case, we actually went to Walmart, we bought a few containers that we can put our bags into, and we just mark them off. I've got one for desserts, one for vegetables, one for fruit, one for entrees, and we just continue to fill them up. I put oldest in the front, newest in the back, and just pile them up that way as I go. And as one fills up, I throw it back into my pantry. And that's kind of the cycle that we go through. But it does cost money. The upside to that downside, if you will, is that it's incremental costs. I don't have to pay for them all at once. It's an ongoing thing, ongoing maintenance. So every few months I'll go to Walmart and just pick up new supplies in terms of the boxes. One side note that I'll make when it comes to those materials is I've definitely checked online, I've done my research. Just go ahead and buy your Mylar bags and your oxygen absorbers from Harvest Right, because the quality is A+, right? Unless you're finding an amazing deal at some supplier out there that I have not come across. In fact, in that case, go ahead and leave me your comments below. I'd love to hear about it. But they do offer some very top quality gear. And again, you buy that incrementally as you go along. And then that's about it, guys. Again, going back to the process, it's pretty simple. Like I said, I'm gonna do a few additional videos to kind of show what that looks like, what it realistically entails. But generally, when a freeze drying load gets done, we'll both come down, my wife and I. She'll get started on writing what's in the bag, the date, bagging those things up and sealing them, while I get started on the oil change. And that together, that teamwork kind of just makes things go really, really fast. And it's really more of an afterthought for us. We don't really get caught up in how tedious the process is, because it's pretty normal for us. All things considered, when you compare that process to, let's say, canning, you might see my steamer right up there. It's night and day difference. Freeze drying is so much easier than actually going through the canning process. I can tell you that hands down, and it was one of the biggest selling points for my wife when she got to try both and compare. So that does it for us, guys. That essentially is why buying our own freeze dryer and going for the long game won out in the end over just buying a prepackaged freeze-dried year supply. Again, those are our personal thoughts on the matter. I'm certainly not going to tell you what's right for you and your family, but I hope that those thoughts helped out. Please consider giving us a like and a subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified of new content when we come out with it. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks so much.